What's up guys, Luke here today with a video review for you of the HTC One S, which ironically I don't have in my possession anymore, but what the hell, we're going to do the review anyways. I should mention before any further that I actually did have the phone in my possession for 2 weeks though. Huge thank you to HTC and Paradigm PR for making that review happen, and hopefully I can get lots of other HTC devices and phones to review in the future. So let's start this review off with a hardware overview, what you're going to find on the phone hardware-wise, outside and in. On the back of the camera, you're going to find an 8 megapixel camera with LED flash. This is not a dual LED flash, single LED flash, and the camera does 1080p video recording at 30 frames a second. If you want to see any footage from the camera, I posted an entire video review of the camera, so check it out here. Also on the back of the phone, you're going to find these speaker grills, and what's unique about these speakers and audio system on board the HTC One S is it's actually incorporated with the Beats audio, and it has a Beats audio chip on board the phone. On the side of the phone, you're going to find a volume rocker and micro USB port. On the top of the phone, you're going to be looking at a standard 3.5mm headphone jack. On the front of the phone, you're going to be looking at a VGA 720p camera, and I don't care what anybody says down in the description, that camera, that press release said, I'll post the press release right here. It said VGA 720p, so you guys don't think that I'm actually crazy. The press release said 720p. And for those of you guys just watching the review and not my actual camera test, it's because I couldn't get the front-facing camera to do 720p quality. Not even close. The screen on the front of the phone is a beautiful 4.3-inch QHD display. It's an AMOLED screen, so OLED, oleophobic display, so it resists fingerprints. QHD means it's quarter high definition, and obviously 4.3-inch means it's 4.3-inch diagonal. The dimensions of the screen itself are actually 540 across and 960 above. Inside the actual phone, you're going to find a 1.5 GHz dual-core S4 Snapdragon Qualcomm processor. I think they call the processor Snapdragon for short. This phone is running the latest Android, which is Android Ice Cream Sandwich, and HTC Sense 4.0, which is the brand new one. It has 16 gigabytes of internal storage, which is not upgradable, and 1 gigabyte of RAM. The battery inside it is a 1650 milliamp lithium-ion battery. We'll talk about the battery later. One last thing I kind of want to throw into the hardware is that it does have a digital compass like the iPhone, and it has a proximity sensor on the front as well. So that pretty much wraps up our hardware overview. Let's start talking about some of the stuff actually on board the phone. The first thing is the camera. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail about the camera because I actually did an entire video, a 10-12 minute video facing off the iPhone 4S camera versus the HTC One S camera. You can check that out. Again, link down in the description below. I'll post that link. It carries the new HTC Image Sense technology, okay? It only takes 0.7 seconds to take a photo, and I will attest to that. This camera was speed, like sometimes fast enough that you would be like, whoa, did it just take that photo? That's how fast it is. And I'm sure maybe it will slow down over time, but I was really impressed by how fast the photo was taken, and then you were kind of just like, whoa. Yeah, that was quick, you know, it was really, really quick. Just like, a funny story for you, I was at the dentist office yesterday. I went in because one of my teeth on the top was aching, and he's like, you know what, you want your wisdom teeth out right now? And it was just on-the-fly decisions. I got my wisdom teeth out yesterday. Do I look like I got my wisdom teeth out? Another cool thing about the camera system, which I actually failed to mention in the big camera video, was that you can take high-quality photos while shooting high-definition video, which is a problem I have run into before, which is not really like a huge feature, but I mean, it's a really big convenience, and I'm really glad that they added on that feature, because I have found myself in situations before where I'm like, oh, do I take a photo or do I take video? Or like, you take video, I'll take photo, right? So this one you can do both, which is really neat, and it's a really big convenience. Kind of tying in with the whole camera thing is that when you buy this phone and you actually set it up, you get 23.4 gigabytes of free Dropbox space for 2 years. First of all, really cool that Dropbox integration with HTC. I wish more phones would do that because I hate iCloud, as I said before. Second of all, awesome place to store backups of your photos because, as you guys know, I got screwed by an iPhone failing, and I lost all my photos. So this way I wouldn't have had lost them all. They would have all been on Dropbox. And just the last thing about that 25 gigabytes of free Dropbox space, it's actually valued at $50 a year if you do the calculations. So that's $100 over a 2-year period. That's a pretty good deal when you buy an HTC One S or HTC One phone because they all have that Dropbox integration. One thing I do have to say about the camera is that in its native filter, so just no filters, you know, just raw right out of the camera, everything did look a little saturated. You guys mentioned that in my video, and I definitely did see that. The greens were a little too green and the reds were a little too red. So I think that they've really like kind of overkilled the saturation on their natural filter, and especially you guys can check that out in my camera comparison. I'll throw the link again down in the description. Now let's talk about build quality. Now build quality, it comes in 2 different colors, 2 different versions. One is a matte ceramic black metal, and the other one is an anodized gradient, I believe, what is it called? An anodized gradient aluminum, and I had that one. The aluminum one is the silver one, which I had with the blue ring around it, and the black one comes with a red ring. The first one is the black one. Now the black one, that black black ceramic metal. That metal is actually supposed to be stronger than stainless steel, okay? And then it didn't actually say anything about mine. Maybe I just had the one that had no facts about it. But I mean, there's a little fun fact about the build quality of it. In terms of my opinions and my thoughts, you know, it was another one of those moments where everybody was like, it's such a thin phone, you know, I could snap it just like the MacBook Air. But I actually like really loved the feel of this phone. It was really thin in my hand. It was a huge phone, mind you. I mean, 4.3-inch screen, 0.31 inches thick. I mean, it was a very thin phone, very thick. I really enjoyed it. I thought it made the phone look sexy, sleek, and I really enjoyed the overall design of the phone. Now let's talk a little bit about audio, and this phone has the special Beats audio chip inside. Ooh, what's everybody raving about with the Beats audio chip? Let me tell you something about the Beats audio chip. It sounds no different than the audio coming out of my crappy iPhone speakers. But I mean, for the sake of this review, you know, there's nothing bad to say about the audio. It's not to say that because it has Beats, it's awful. You know, it's good audio. It sounded nice in the car. I actually really enjoyed the music player interface and how easy it was to load up songs and play them and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that, and that kind of ties in with the operating system. Another thing I want to touch on is the fact that why does HTC keep putting their speakers on the back of the phone? But like when I've got my phone on my, like say, like the iPhone for instance. So this is my iPhone. I put it on here, I'm listening to music or something like that. If the speakers are on the bottom, it's muffled sound. Why do they do that? I have no idea. So, you know, you put the speakers on the bottom. I love the placing of the old iPhone speakers, you know. I think that's great. But I mean, that's just me. Maybe I'm, you know, complaining about the worst things in the world, but, you know, what are you going to do? Alright, now let's talk about the user interface and the speed of the phone. So, let's talk about Android Ice Cream Sandwich, HTC Sense 4.0, and the 1.5 GHz dual-core Snapdragon S4 Qualcomm processor. Should almost be an ad. Qualcomm. Call me. Okay, so guys, you know that I was always kind of skeptical about Android before this. You know, I played around with the HTC Jetstream, the HTC Raiders, and Android just really never did it for me. I was always an iOS guy. You can call me a fanboy if you want. But this guy didn't get much use during the time that I had that phone. I loved Android. I loved the features it had. I just loved how seamless everything was. It wasn't like, you know, previous Android phones where you're scrolling up and down and you scroll and then you wait for like 5 minutes and then it scrolls for you. This was like real-time, fluid movements. I really enjoyed the speed of this phone. I thought it was really quick, really fast, and again, we're touching on the 0.7 seconds to take a photo. Really, really cool. And that's even though this phone was a dual-core processor. I mean, that's more than enough in a phone, and I thought that it ran it really, really well. I don't know if it's just maybe Ice Cream Sandwich or some new updates or like just a culmination of everything working together, but the user experience and everything with this phone was really like unbelievable. You know, it went far and beyond. I really enjoyed this phone and I had a great time with the user interface, the speed, and all the hardware actually just really worked well together. Alright, now let's talk a little bit about network. And you guys who've been watching my videos for a while, you know that I tested out the HTC Raider before this and the HTC Jetstream, and those were all 4G capable devices. And when I was testing out those devices, I actually lived in Toronto because I was going to school there. I'm back home now, and this is not a 4G device, but these are my experiences. So it's a GSM phone which does HSPA+, which means high-speed packet access, I'm pretty sure. Now, everywhere I went with this phone, I was actually really impressed with the service, the reception, and the overall call quality. The earpiece speaker was very loud, it was very clear, I was very much able to hear who I was speaking with and what they were saying. And the person on the other end, I actually did tests with people, my friends who hate me when I do the tests on them, and asking them, you know, if I was clear or not. And they said, yeah, it was a really clear phone, and that I was actually really loud. So it was very easy to hear me, which is always good in a phone. You never want someone who's too quiet because you're like, what was that again? So, you know, very good to have a good microphone on a phone. In terms of network speeds, you know, like downloading like websites and, you know, you're on Facebook or Twitter like that, you know, I have nothing to complain about, but I have nothing to boast about either. It's HSPA+, it's not 4G. Other networks I want to talk about is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Wi-Fi worked very well, you know, picked up all the networks. I find that the iPhone wireless adapter obviously isn't as powerful as the wireless adapter in my laptop, but the HTC One S actually picked up more networks than my iPhone did, so that was really a cool thing, especially if I'm like on the top floor of my house and the router is in my basement. It obviously got a stronger reception there. And also Bluetooth connectivity. Like I have a new GM car and it has that whole Bluetooth thing where you can walk in or you just sit down because you have your phone connected and your phone just pairs with your car and it'll say, you know, phone detected, Luke DiMarco, and then I can make calls or something from the car. So that worked well every time. I didn't have any problems with that. So A+ for Bluetooth. And I believe this is like Bluetooth 3.0. I don't know what's new there. But I will definitely look into that and I'll post some stuff on my website, I guess, about Bluetooth 3.0. The final thing I want to talk about is the battery life on the HTC One S. 1650 milliamp lithium ion battery, rechargeable by micro USB. I was actually really impressed with the battery life because here's a fun fact for you. The company was actually supposed to pick up the phone from my house on Friday and it had like 10% battery left. They actually didn't pick it up, or UPS just didn't come or something like that. Anyways, it sat in my house all weekend until Monday when they picked it up, and Monday when I was putting the phone out, one of my friends actually called that number and the phone was ringing and it had like 5 or 6% left. So over the course of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then a little bit of Monday morning, it only lost 4% of battery life. So I was really impressed by that. I mean, you would think with such a big screen, 4.3 inches, the battery life would just go. You would never see it. But I actually got a little bit over a day of heavy use. That's like my email on, Twitter, Facebook, texting, and then calls here and there. I was really happy with the battery life on the HTC One S. So here's the golden question: would I buy this phone, and do I recommend that you buy this phone? Here's the thing: if you told me that I had to buy a brand new phone today, I had to start from scratch, and we had the same market we have now, I would highly consider buying the HTC One S. The UI, the speed, the design, the camera interface, I really loved a lot of things about this phone. So I'm really impressed with the HTC One S, and I can only imagine that the One X and the One V are just as good or better. If you want to take a look at any facts or more about this phone, or if I said something that was completely wrong and you just want to yell at me, leave a comment down in the comment section down below, or check out my website where I'll be posting my written review and full feature set and stuff like that. Also, if you want to see anything about the camera system on the HTC One S, I'll post a link to the video below, or the unboxing and first boot up, also linked below. Anyways guys, my name's Luke from LukeDiMarco.com, bringing you this video review thanks to HTC and Paradigm PR. That's it for today. Remember to like this video if it helped you out in any way, and subscribe if you want more content. See ya.